Hey y'all, it's Deb, welcome back. So this is the year that you've decided you're finally gonna pay off that nasty debt. Way to go, good job. But you need a little bit of help getting started. That's what today's video is all about. So here are 15 tips that may help you pay this debt off faster. If you were to come over for dinner, and this is our table right here, and if you were to share a meal with Adam and I, we would share these tips with you because we care about you. We want you out of debt as much as you do. So some of these tips that you're gonna hear may hurt your feelings a little bit, but sometimes I need to go a little Southern mama on y'all. The first thing that you need to do is to get angry. You need to get angry with the credit card companies, the student loan companies. They market the way that they do because they know that it works and they know that we're young and dumb and we fall for their tactics thinking that we're outsmarting them in some way. We're not. They're making billions of dollars off of us. So you need to get good and angry with that. You also need to get angry with your former self that got you into this mess. You and your spouse got y'all into this and y'all are the only ones that can get yourself out. That anger is what's going to drive you to do these next few tips that I have for you. The next tip that I would recommend is that you need a plan. You need a plan of what you're going to pay off first, how you're going to go about doing that. Do you need to call the credit card companies or the student loan companies and somehow talk with them about bringing your monthly payment down? If you are behind in your payments, you need to get up to date and current on those. That's really, really important. But ultimately, you need a plan. Exactly what am I going to pay off first, second, and third? If you want some guidance on that, Dave Ramsey has a tactic that I believe works very, very well, not because of the numbers necessarily, but because of human nature. We do much better when we see the momentum. So he recommends you pay off the payment that has the smallest balance on it. So if you've got 3 credit cards and one of them you owe 100, one of them you owe 1,000, and one you owe 2,000. You need to pay off that $100 credit card first because now you're going to take all of that money and roll it, and it's called the snowball effect. So you're going to roll that money onto the second one, pay that $1,000 credit card off, and then you're going to roll that onto the bigger one. Human nature tells us that when we see quick momentum like that, we're more likely to stick with it. So you need a plan. With this plan that you've created, now you need accountability. If you don't already have it, this is the time to get it. It's going to help you stay motivated. You need someone in your life, if you don't have a spouse especially, and if you do have a spouse, y'all could have an accountability couple. If you're single and you're doing this on your own, you need someone you can be accountable to. This needs to be a person who loves you, who's not afraid to ask you the tough questions, and they need to have a copy of your plan so that they can walk beside you in this and they can ask you, hey, how are you doing with that credit card? Have you cut them up? Have you paid anything off yet? Things like that. So get accountability. The next tip that I have for you is that you need to go through your house and find anything that you can sell. This is the time where you and your spouse or you and your accountability partner, you go through items, get somebody to kind of help walk you through that. Y'all do that together. You need to sell anything you can. This is one of those times in life you're trying to make the fastest dollar possible. If you haven't sat on it, worn it in the last 6 months, used it to cook your food in the last 3 months, like not just some juicer you've got hiding away and we need to get rid of ours, we need to sell it. You need to make a quick dollar. Now, the temptation is to hold on to things because I might need that later, or what if I regret getting rid of it? You will never regret getting rid of your debt. I'm telling you, I've been there. I've watched people walk down this road. You won't regret it. And if those are items that you really do miss or you really do need it later down the road, you can always replace it when you're in a better financial situation. So look for anything that you can sell. The next tip that I have is to establish your needs versus your wants. This is going to help you get out of debt and stay out of debt. All too often we get these two things confused, and that tends to be most of the time what causes us to spend money that we just don't have. So make sure you identify your needs versus your wants. My next suggestion is to figure out ways that you can raise your income. Do you need to get a second or third job? Stay-at-home moms, can you watch other children in your home while you're taking care of yours? Find ways that you can raise your income, and whatever decisions you make in this area, it doesn't have to be permanent. It's just temporary. But remember, we got ourselves into this hole and now we've got to get ourselves out. This next tip is going to be really hard for a lot of y'all to hear. So as my husband likes to say, put your seatbelt on. And here comes a little Southern mama, because I love you and I care about you. You may need to consider moving. This is coming from a person who, my family, we moved 13 times in 20 years with Adam's military career. I know how hard it is to move. I know exactly what it feels like not to live nearby my family. But the people that I'm responsible for live inside this house. These people are the ones that I'm responsible for. All those other people that I love and care about, they are not paying my bills. And if they really love me, and they do, they would never want me to stay in an area that was detrimental to my financial life. Don't stay in a city or in an area for emotional reasons. You need to make sure you can afford it. Now, if you really don't want to move and you really do want to stay in your area, the only other thing that you can do is bring your expenses down and your income up. So if you're single and you need to go back to school or pick a different career path, you need to do that. If you are married and one of you needs to go back to school and either do something different or up your degree, then that's what you need to do. But if those things are not possible, you do need to consider moving. A tip to stay motivated is that you could watch debt-free stories right here on YouTube. I'll post ours below. You could read books by people that have done this. Anything that you can read or watch that will help you with this feeling of, I don't ever want to do this again. I got to get out. This is an emergency. Especially when you feel like spending, or you feel like stopping, or you feel like we're not getting any traction in this. Get on YouTube, watch some other families that have done this. It is so motivating. My next tip is to stay away from temptation. If you know that you cannot drive by a Starbucks or a Dunkin' or McDonald's or whatever it is without getting that one item that you love so much, find another way to work, find another way to drive home. Stay away from what you know is just too much temptation for you. Another tip to avoid spending, and I just did this last week, I just talked about this, unfollow social media accounts that tempt you to spend, whether it be the actual company like Bath & Body Works, Ulta, Target, whatever it is. You could delete those, but also the influencers that every 5 seconds they're posting some new product or this new thing that they found, and you know that's going to tempt you to spend money. Unfollow them, even if it's just for a little while until you get back on your feet. Don't deliberately go to social media accounts that you know are not healthy for you. This goes into my next tip. You are gonna have to stop your bad habits. If you're used to going to the mall on Friday, or meeting your girlfriends for lunch on Saturday, or you and your husband and your children love to go out for breakfast on Sunday, you're gonna have to stop those bad habits. If you are in the middle of paying off debt, like Dave Ramsey likes to say, you should not be inside a restaurant unless you work there. So whatever habits, and you know what they are, it's not like you have to think really hard about them, but identify them and tell your spouse, and if you're single, tell your accountability partner what those things are so that they can ask you about them. Stop your bad habits. Let's move into the area of cooking and the kitchen. I have a ton of videos that are on my playlist about how to do this. You need to learn how to home make some things, and this is whether you're single, married, whatever, retired, doesn't matter. I have so many videos of how to make brownie mix, pancake mix, your own waffle mix, muffin mixes, anything like that. Learning how to do that is going to save you so much money. You can then put that leftover money on your debt. That's very important. And these items taste so much better, so much better. So learn how to make a lot of this stuff from home. I have a lot of videos that are in my playlist that will help you save money on groceries and menu planning and all that kind of thing. But one thing that I will throw into here, make sure you're not wasting food. If you have food in your pantry, in your freezer, in your fridge, try to eat all of that up before you you move on to the next meal. One of the lessons that's really hard for me, even now I struggle with this. I don't know why, but I do. I have learned recently that everybody in my family doesn't have to eat the same thing that night. So very often we will have a refrigerator clean out. I'll pull everything out, heat everything up, and everybody can kind of make a little miscellaneous plate the way that they want to. It will save you a ton of money. A little side note to that, also be careful with your gas spending. Run all of your errands together. If there's somewhere that you need to go, try to map it out to where you're using your gas the most efficient way possible. Here are 2 things that Adam and I did when we decided to get out of debt as fast as possible. We changed our cell phone plan and we canceled cable. I don't know why people think that those things are radical. We don't miss the TV. We haven't had cable since then, so it's been 15 years. We have not had cable and we don't miss it. Also consider canceling Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon Prime, whatever those streaming services are that you're using. If you're in debt, those need to go. Again, a little bit of Southern Mama coming at you. You need a little bit of tough love. You do not need those things. You want those things, you don't need them. And then when your financial situation is better, you can always bring them back if you want to. The last tip that I'm going to tell you is the most fun. You need to plan how you're going to celebrate. You could have a barbecue. You and your spouse could go out for a special date night. Personally, I would advise, especially if you have children and they've walked through this journey with you, I would plan something that involves them. They've probably given some stuff up, so what a great way to celebrate with everybody as a family. We did that. It was a lot of fun. Our boys were about 4 and 5, so they probably don't remember, but it felt good as a mom to do that as a family. So make sure you plan exactly, like, what are you going to eat? Where are you going to go? Who are you going to invite over? What kind of cake do we want? Something that is significant that makes that day special from every other day. If you watch our debt story, you'll get to hear how we handled that, and I'll link it down below. Those are my 15 tips for how to get out of debt as fast as possible. I know that some were really hard to hear, but somebody has to love you and care about you enough to tell you the hard things. Let me know how you're doing. I would love to cheer you on. I can't wait to hear from you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. All right, bye.